And then I think about how does a voter even know the essence of a candidate through the campaigning process, when who knows what it is that you're hearing that may be true, may not be true, and how do we discern that and come up with the right answer? And there's got to be integrity with the people that you're voting for, and trust in order for them not to do what you're describing. And how do we really know that? And it's interesting. I think you've got to feel it. I used to, when I did my master's degree many years ago, it was on the subject back then of how is it that the public gets its ideas about politics and things that are going on, just current events in the world. And the answer today would be different than it was back there for some people back then, because there wasn't social media back then. And we know that social media is making a difference for some age groups, right? But nevertheless, back then, do you know what the single most important factor was? Guess. It wasn't TV, because TV was, I don't know, the news was different than it is now.
We had 3 channels.
And there wasn't Fox, and there wasn't MSNBC. So what do you think was the most important?
Communication.
Yeah, but how? How? What medium?
By radio.
Could be
Clubs.
clubs, meaning like
Social and service clubs. and-
social and service clubs.
Yeah.
We're actually getting closer. It was people like you, the opinion leaders. And I wonder if that study were replicated today, if the result wouldn't actually be the same. I don't know. But I think the most important thing for reaching some voters, we know some voters anyway, is for people like you to say, well, I've met this person or that person, and I think that that person can be trusted by me. Because how do you really get at that factor? And it's so critically important. And I don't know who you can believe when they say, I can't be bought. We'll prove it, but it takes time.
Yeah.
It takes time.
Eventually they can be.
But there's a back there though, there were groups that represented their interests. Today, I can name 3 groups or formal organizations where I can say they're split right down the middle. Half of them want to go this way and half of them want to go that way. It's amazing to me that
Now, are they split on the issues or on the people?
on the issues,
On the issues.
they're split on the issues. Well, look at the election. Look at the last 2 presidential elections. Just a few points split
Yeah.
in the election. But we see that here locally too in elections. Just a few points. You get so many for and so many against.
Yeah.
So the group concept is really interesting to me. I don't want to name any specific ones, but they're very evident when I go to the meetings. Man, you got to be careful who you're listening to. And if you're going to report,
Yeah.
you're reporting from this group and not from that group.
Yeah.
Of the same organization.
And many counties are experiencing that now in profound ways. I've also
I call it
noticed.
bifurcated tongues.
There you go. Is that like the old fork tongue? Well, I also believe that we're getting to a point of polarization on issues too. And that can often be destructive. And that, let me see if I can conjure up an example. I was saying to someone who was of the opposite political party that wasn't the point, that it was my belief that for Social Security, that we should introduce the aspect of choice for young people. I was talking about that for Medicare, that we could introduce the aspect of choice in certain ways. The person's immediate response was, well, then you want to let people die on the street, don't you?
Yeah.
Now, that kind of, and this person was not making fun, was not treating it as a joke.
They were dead serious. That's what they believe. That's what they believe.
And see, you can name that person. I saw that person in a different county, problem is those people are all over the United States. And we see so much of that now, and it is not the basis for getting back to the basics, which is what I call this kind of thing. Because as long as many of us truly believe that big government is the answer, we've got a dialogue problem. And that would say, we're gonna talk about the forest, well, obviously, the federal government is the answer, they would say, right? And that's where dialogue is difficult, because the federal government is the answer not just relative to the forest, but relative to our medical care, relative to whatever we're gonna talk about. And that makes dialogue really tough. And I think our Congress people are gonna have to figure out ways to work with that if we're ever gonna be anything except dysfunctional. Because it's a mess right now. I mean, we all agree, I think we all agree with that. It is a mess. And that polarization is bothersome.
Well, the one example that I can give you is, I listen to both sides of the dial on the radio. I listen to the folks on the right and the folks on the left. And what I find is there's a lot of key words that are used to spark the masses. Okay, if you're wanting to talk to a full audience, you stay away from those words. You can actually, by understanding that everybody wants.
By the way, I'm gonna interrupt just 1 second. Did I introduce Jeff to you at the back of the room? He
No.
is, just so everybody knows, Jeff is a tracker and reporter for the Democrat Party. So I just wanted you to know, we see each other very, very frequently. So he's had a great tour of the coast. So I just thought it was, yeah.
But there's so many things that are very, 85% of the folks can agree on.
Mhm.
And they just say it in different ways.
Yeah,
That's all.
yeah.
Then you have your extremists on both sides.
And I like to call those code words,
Yeah.
because they're out of the normal usage. One day, I made the horrific mistake of using the word sustainable, for example, in a normal conversation for the normal meaning of that word. And I was amazed at the response when it had not been anything similar to what it was understood to be, because of the fact that it is now code.
For Agenda 21.
Yeah,
I
and
know.
and of course,
For Agenda 21.
and you know what I feel about Agenda
Right,
21.
but I understand what you mean, I'm not, they are using that word to draw people in.
Yeah,
And that's what's scary about
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Same as the word renewable.
Yes.
Yes,
Is anyone hungry but me?
Go for it.
Go for it.
How about if we move some of the goodies
Yeah.
up here?
Oh, we have
And then we-
goodies here?
Yeah, and then
just grab a plate, let's grab plates.
we can grab plates and come back if you want to. Whenever I get excited about this stuff, I always get hungry. So this is a life problem, you know? But I think
didn't
you're
know it was here.
absolutely
Well, again,
on target with that.
yeah, I could go on all night about communication.
So you
Communication.
Recently, is that what you're
Yeah.
saying?
Yes, indeed, go right ahead.
Well,
That's
it's-
what it does to me.
Well, I did it
They have-
out of spite.
I married him, and I said, you are not going to farm.
There's no need to use
You're
this
farmer,
term
I'm
on
a
this there.
families, and I says, I marry you
It was
because you're an
out of-
engineer.
It was out of spite. There is no way in God's green earth I wanted the Nature
I
Conservancy
saw
to
those
get it.
tickles, and
And
I
it's
didn't-
not that I'm pregnant,
I
but for
just
some
wanted
reason,
to
it looks really
make
good.
a truce on that, because
Isn't that the old
What I
connection
want
that they
to
used to
happen.
talk about?
yes,
I don't know, I've never
to
studied.
study,
My wife did all
to
that.
study.
I think they used to say that that was what we
actually
craved
go
when we
for
were
those issues.
pregnant.
You can
manholes.
create a better habitat for the fish to grow in.
All the
We believe
time.
that's a
My grandmother used to make them with lard,
Yeah.
and oh my goodness, were they good.
In tile areas, if you keep it this
Art
way,
is great.
it creates 2 layers of water. You have the
Well, it's
top
great to
layer
see
on
you again.
top, which is
Yeah.
the very warm water from 80 degrees.
does.
Reason I had it in my-
Richard Overscott left me a message.
Oh,
He said
were
that
you
there's
the
gonna be
person
something
here at
about
5? I heard from
Yeah,
Bob.
and I said,
Anywhere from
well,
60
And I
to
believe he
70.
was
We were
trying to
trying to
say that it
juggle
was
some,
going to be
like,
about
going
his
to
neighbor's
Mass.
emergency issue
over
and
here.
inclusion of dairy. You know anything about it?
Feed on mosquito larvae.
It sounds a little hard
In
to
the middle of it,
And
said we.
Oh, maybe it will.
It worked out fine.
Maybe it was a part,
I'm
Peter,
sorry, I don't have misunderstandings, but I heard it 3
Well,
different times. No, I doubt it.
And recently, Oregon State found
Okay.
Chad Ellen has started a motion.
in wintertime,
He wants to have Congress, state Congress,
actually
state
found
legislature,
grass fields where they raise their grass seed.
put out
They,
a
microorganisms that are in those fields.
that will
Then the
slow
soil
down
action, they go back.
Nature
They grow
Conservancy
like
from
crazy
taking
on those
prime
grass,
farmers.
those seed
Okay,
fields.
okay.
And they,
So,
well,
Chad
they
So-
go, oh my
so-
goodness, what a discovery. Well, they've been.
Yeah,
but that for years.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I've told people for years, I says, do you find people
Oh, I did not know that.
eating out in the middle of the street? Or do they?
I sort of recognize you by name, Jim Well.
Gus Meyer,
What's the name?
Gus Meyer.
Oh, I've seen
They're
that
not-
name, okay.
you know,
I am
Now
so
now I
sorry.
recognize it,
You
okay.
don't eat that.
Before you got here, we would make sure that everybody knew everybody. So I'm so sorry, that's my fault.
Okay.
This is your wife?
Yes, my wife, Nellie.
Hi,
That's
Nellie.
fine, if you,
Glad to meet you.
we have 6 acres
May I
on
have your
our
contact
house.
information? I'd
And
love
that's
to follow
fine, and
up
it's
with
fine,
you
because
on
you
the act after I read
You
it.
know, you can raise a couple.
Understand a little bit about the detail of it and.
Why you do it?
How's it going?
But I'd like to check my understanding of the specifics.
Help yourself.
You get a feel. I was
Anyway.
You're right. We've still got a long time to go.
Yeah.
And so this month, I'm really working on putting an organization together. And
Yeah.
you know, we've got, there's a lot of territory to cover, as you're kind of realizing, I'm sure.
I hesitate
You know,
to
even
pick
now
one of my
with
fingers.
the changes in
Oh, the district.
the districts, the boundaries.
No, there isn't, so it's gonna be.
You know, we lost the southern part of this county, which is unfortunate.
I gotta go
We
inside.
picked up a tremendous amount from Astoria all the way over to Westport. And then they moved the boundaries over on the east side in Washington County, so it goes from Banks all the way down to Gaston.
Now,
Oh,
So
these are-
it's a long stretch.
yeah.
And so we're gonna have to have about,
Did you know that?
probably about 5 different geographic areas that we're gonna have to
Yeah, they're not
have
all.
organization. So,
My parent hasn't made the connection
keep
yet.
it
She knows
together,
it.
get
She didn't
boots
make
on the
the
ground in June, so.
What's that? So paintings?
Well, yeah, she knows it.
But she didn't, what's funny, she didn't think about it.
Oh, okay.
No, yeah, but I'm retired. Someday I'll get, I'm
Associating your name with great people access area. We've been talking about.
You know what, I don't
which
know, I was thinking maybe,
are obviously.
one of them would,
prime
but I don't
ones
know.
Here. Is there any other topic area that we should take a look at, or anything that you'd like to specifically talk about, ask me about, check me out on,
Well,
anything
listen,
like
I
that?
would go the next step in conversation in groups. For this to come to resolution, there's such an easy answer, and it's already in CFR.
Okay.
Collaboration and communication. If the federal people will hold their public hearings with the local people, then you can bring people together and you don't have these biased and subjective, what you call your words?
It's clear.
So, back to communications, and there's CFRs. Charlie has sent me probably 8, 9, 10 CFRs dealing with collaboration and coordination.
And again, they exist.
They exist.
They exist, and so they're not implemented. And this is often the problem with major issues that we have, maybe even immigration, I mean, a lot of issues. So,
Because if you sit down
why?
like this and collaborate, you can come to a reasonable conclusion.
So why? Do they need to know how to get here, or what's the problem?
Well, typically, it is,
It's biased.
there is, no, it is. It really gets down to that simple. Now, when there's groups represented, when you do get together on communication or collaboration, typically there is the friends of whatever who makes their money by getting people excited and donating to the cause. You might saving the silver spotted butterfly that hasn't exist here. And those groups are recognized exactly the same as the county government or as the city government.
NGOs have almost that power.
There is a tremendous amount of organizational, if I really wanted to have the same say after I'm out of office as I have in office, all I have to do is to conjure up a name, the Hurlman Trust, the protection of whatever. I don't even have but 2 members of this organization. I can file as that organization and have a tremendous clout. And so it,
But I'm not understanding why this is occurring. I mean, I understand bias, but why isn't it occurring? I know that the people in this room are good, aggressive pushers to get things done right. So something is blocking it. What is it?
Well, what you have, I mean, right in this room, there's 7 or 8 people, 9. We could form 9 organizations, everybody could have, and be a president of one organization, everybody could be a treasurer of one organization, and you send in letters and show up at a different meeting and you make testimony for the commissioners or whatever. And you had 9 groups, all the same people, making presentation.
Yeah.
And you're getting money. You get money from, organizations that are outside these communities. They're actually national, or Pew Foundation, one, we go to Sierra Club.
Pew is a killer.
Yeah, I know.
And
I understand.
And it makes, and then when you come into, say, a county like this, and I'm not picking on the county, but most of the people that have been here a long time are people that have never acted that way. They've just been hardworking people that, go to their jobs, milk their cows, jump in their log trucks, and they're not organized. They've never really been organizational type people. And they get steamrolled. They just get rolled over.
By whom?
By these groups, because they,
State and
they're
federal.
coming in, like say, they can get money, they can do mailers, they can buy the publicity, buy the ads, make things to be a bigger issue than they really are.
Karen, it's so easy for me to see this, and it's so hard for me to say these words. These beautiful people have not been exposed to the big industrial social complex. And I don't want to go into full detail, but
And they don't want to.
there's a cute one. Two of our leading citizens went to Las Vegas. Oh my God, there was 16 cranes putting up their buildings. Where I come from, I expect to see that. These people have never seen it. So it's so easy for people who live in an atmosphere like that to just plain, as the word was said, steamrollers. It's just, it's a whole level of culture.
Okay, so what could your representative do?
Coordination and collaboration.
And focus on implementing those CFRs?
Right.
Yes.
Allowing people like us and the people that do show up and say, hey, we want a voice, an actual voice. I can't tell you how many times I've been to a FEMA meeting or an ODOT meeting where the people leading it pretty much just went, oh, we'll listen to you, but our minds are made up. And
Well,
As far as
they are made up.
They are,
And I'll tell you, that we're going right to the meat here. Okay, I'm gonna take the example with ODOT. ODOT engineers, do you know where they were previously employed? They
No,
were
I
employed-
don't.
They were, usually the top officials were either employed by WH Pacific or CH2M Hill. Now, if you go to CH2M Hill or WH Pacific, where were those folks you previously employed? ODOT. Okay, now you go and you look at the projects as they hit the ground. East of town here, we could have had a stoplight take care of the whole scenario.
and support new city urban growth.
Yeah, that was a shame.
It would have cost the
Okay,
taxpayers less
we're-
money, everything.
Okay, now you take the projects that came forward. We've spent almost $3 million and we still don't have it designed, but guess who got those projects?
I just can't guess.
Okay. Now, if there would have been a stoplight, do you think those organizations would have got any money? That's where our issue is. I don't care if it's a state level or the federal level. Those are the issues that are the problem. Where you start with that,
Yeah.
it's very difficult.
Musical chairs with these people. They just move from one to the other. And,
And double their curve.
So,
but there's, you know, our current representative, his method of communication it's just horrible. I've been to a couple of his town hall meetings, and they are the most staged events.
right,
Keeps everybody at
Controlled.
a distance.
right,
Um,
I've been too.
Yeah, okay. And unfortunately, often these meetings are set at a time where most of the people that, they're working. I mean, flat out, you know, 2 o'clock on a Wednesday afternoon, he breeze into town with about 2 days' notice, and of course, the only people that are notified are the favorites of the congressman. And everything seems hunky-dory to the local newspaper, you know, because everybody's just, you know, having a little joy fest. And none of the hard questions really get asked,
Or answered,
they're never answered.
yeah.
But
You know, one of the things that, frankly, I just want to contemplate a bit. It is very difficult when people go into a meeting in good faith and the other party is not in good faith. They're not open. They are not discussing. They are posturing and presenting and not gaining information, you know.
Basically dictating.
Yeah, but not even letting us know what they're dictating because they're not that honest
Yeah.
necessarily. Okay, if that is the dynamic that you're describing,
That is exactly, because that's what this project East of Town.
yeah.
They came in and says, no way a stoplight is going to work.
So you're communicating clearly. I'm understanding. Now, what to do about that, to change that dynamic so that the CFR is not just implemented, but implemented in good faith. You know what I'm saying? That's where my mind is going now.
Well,
And
I'm just
I'm,
making sure that these ODOT and FEMA, or whoever it happens to be, has accountability to somebody to say that we were open, and we did listen, and we did encourage dialogue, and we took the people that live in this, and we took a little of their advice about things. People that drive these roads every single day for their last 50 years, 100 times a day, probably know what's gonna work a lot better than somebody that lives somewhere else.
now, how to get that into the system of
Well,
decision-making?
Now, what, I've got to go back to one of your predecessors. So happened to get as representative. Darlene Cooley
Yes,
was very good at getting her hands around the throat of the Corps of Engineers.
I remember that you mentioned that.
Yeah, she was probably the best that has been
Mm-hmm.
in that position. And
what goes for the poor would go for other entities too,
Yeah.
because I suspect the process had been, their decision-making, but they had been the same. I would imagine, or she wouldn't have been so concerned about it.
Right. But there was, her, you know, she didn't get any dollar amounts for us, but she was able to get accountability for us.
That's huge.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge right in its own right.
I barely got acquainted because I tried to stay out of politics and retire peacefully.
Didn't do that.
Didn't work.
I
Yeah, look
bought,
how
I
that
bought
worked
land
out.
where they were gonna take 300 feet of my land immediately to protect a little small 15-foot stream.
There you
That's
go.
great.
So here I am. But now I broke my trade.
I'm sorry, we
You
talked
didn't
about
know
that.
Darlene very well.
I didn't know Darlene very well, that's right. But what she did was she kind of was using the collaboration and coordination efforts. What they're doing to us, Karen, in my eyes, and I see it vividly, it's divide and conquer. It's
Oh,
divide.
I've seen that work. I know.
ODOT, we have local representation on the Northwest Act. And the Northwest Act is supposed to be setting priorities in the interests of the people. So they go up there and ODOT with all their power and all their, this is taken out, and all their money, this is what we're gonna do, and our people get us most into it, that are on that committee. So when they come back here, they're not fully representing us.
Right.
They haven't.
What we mean, fully.
So it gets down to sort of pointing fingers, which I don't like to do, but it's divide and conquer
Yeah,
is
is the method.
the method.
Yeah, I've seen that. It's very challenging to deal with, and I bet that Darlene would be very happy to educate on that ability to get in there and divide it up from our own perspective. Yeah.
And Darlene had some very, very capable aides. It wasn't all Darlene. There was, if I needed certain things done, there were certain aides I went to. The same with Mark Hatfield. The same with Senator Smith. It depended, for example, if I needed someone's annuities taken care of for a retired Navy officer, the widow of, I knew which person to go to, and which aide to go to.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it's, and I never did talk to Warden Smith when I was talking, working out some issues. I tried working with Wyden and their staff, which I thought was, the one to go to, but I never did get any results. The only results I got on that side was, there was this waitress in Garibaldi who, she had had a hard go of it. She was in her 70s, and they were going after her for back taxes. And my answer from Wyden's office, we should put her in jail. Warden's side took care of the issue, because if they put her in jail, we would have ended up paying more anyhow. But it was ironic, I would have thought Wyden's would have been the party to go to, but it
Yeah.
wasn't.
Yeah. Well, I think from what I'm gleaning from this wonderful conversation, for which I thank you very much, is really a couple of things that speak to me as far as the priorities. One, for the top line there, economic prosperity for Oregonians, is to focus on the very specific issues that you've addressed that are getting right to the heart of what's happening or not happening as far as the transfer of funds and the allowance of free enterprise, where it needs to be for the counties and for the forests, and how that all interrelates. But the second thing is that without attention on the debt and deficit, we're not going to be doing the things nationally that we need to do in order to get Oregon where it is. And that's where my background, I feel, really comes into play very, very well. And I feel confident in that area that I would be able to serve you well. As I said to the last group, I actually like budgets and have a very clear vision about where they need to go, and that whether we have a balanced budget amendment or whether we don't, it doesn't matter. We need to behave in the manner as if we had that as a requirement upon us, because until we've learned to spend within our means and cut down this deficit, we are going to leave the country in financial shambles that are really very frightening to me. And, you know, as I see China building up their gold, for something different than the US dollar to be the standard, it's very, very much of concern for the future. And I don't know, none of us know when that future is here, but some of our kids still believe it's okay to be the way we are with big government and making those kinds of decisions, because it's always been okay with us being a little in debt and a little bit of overspending, because after all, it's just government. No, it's not okay.
We haven't run out of collateral yet. Until we run out of collateral to borrow, they're not gonna feel, you know, what's going to happen. And it's almost, you know, a situation where perhaps that's the only cure. It's like we have college students whose debit card maxes out.
Yeah, yeah.
And then reality sets in. I don't know, but,
And despite all of this, which is all too real, along with the other things we've talked about the encroachments with Agenda 21 and all of that, which is very real, like your easement and so on, I think we've got to be positive and overall have faith in the greatness of America, because we are a great country. We've got to, I think, have that attitude, because when we do have that attitude, it helps us get there again. It's that vision.